was this for parts?
I believe it was for parts.
And I guess I would like to see some more bids other than just one bid.
It does not specify, it's not like.
Well, yeah. And Dennis, correct me if I'm wrong, you have to have 3 bids, and then you guys decide, right? Legally, that's how we have to do it at the school. We have to have 3 bids. If we're replacing, say, the front door of the school, we have to have 3 bids before we can decide as a school board which bid we're going to go with.
Yep.
That might be your policy.
That's what I was
and that might
wondering.
be over 80,000.
Sorry, is that a question from?
Do we require more than one?
Okay, perfect. Sorry. Sorry, no, you're fantastic.
No. Thanks, Mike.
I don't know off the top of my head. Obviously, that would be you'd have to follow the bid policy. Off the top of my head, I don't think
we have a bid.
Well, how much? What's the cap on that? What's the estimate?
Well, for one is $1,987, and the other one is
so we're under the $5,000 mark.
Yeah. $3,250.
Well, no, hair over here.
Oh, just hair over. I don't think off the top of my head. I don't think there's a requirement for the city to get 3 bids. Obviously, you should get more than 1 bid.
That's all I'm saying.
That's what I was thinking. But I don't think for around the $5,000 mark, the city has to. We're required to get 3 different bids.
No, and I understand that, and I have no problems. I know what they're talking about. I know it's probably bad.
Could we do it this
but
way?
I just would like to see more than just 1 bid.
Could we move to have a bid taken from Northwest, and if it's lower than this bid, take that. Otherwise, we'll approve.
Will the other ones have meters?
Yes, this pipe will have all the exact same stuff.
I think that's where he gets a lot of his stuff.
And that's kind of why I was kind of shocked that I didn't see a bid didn't see anything from Northwest Pipe. I was kind of shocked. I mean, there's
Sunbelt.
Yeah, there's.
So you guys want another bid?
I would like to see a couple of bids.
Okay.
Myself, just so that we know that we're getting what we're getting for our money. I mean, this stuff I know is expensive.
Yeah.
But I would like to see a few more bids. You know.
Okay. I'll have you a couple more bids to add to that, and then we'll deal with it at next meeting.
Yeah, Mark's not here. I mean, this could be the lowest bid. Don't know.
Okay. So we'll just move on to the next item.
We have to
Would you move?
We have to move to table this till the next meeting. I move to table this till the next meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move the meter and the pipe replacement cost till the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Discuss and change zoning ordinances.
That's me putting that on there.
Okay.
So, I went to the little conference in Yellowstone, and I am going to say something. Mr. Kirtley has brought this up, I have brought this up, for 7 years now, that these zoning ordinances are going to eat us. And it has been put off, and it can't be put off anymore. So, I don't know if I'm going to have to run this by you. I talked to Kelly Lynch, and she said that we could contact her and she would work with you. And there might be possibly, if there was a cost to it, there might possibly be some extra money or something to help out with that. That's just a possibility, nothing. And she had some recommendations. So, besides your recommendations, which
I work with Kelly all the time.
Okay,
yeah,
I really like that.
Yeah.
She had the recommendation that if we went with modular homes, that we said that they had to be set on a concrete foundation, point blank, period. And that way, they become a stick home. And all you're going to do is increase everything. That was one of her recommendations.
So just make sure on that one you add hurricane straps to that, because that will increase your VA first time home buyers. VA, we cannot get a loan unless it is hurricane strap down, even if it's a modular.
Okay.
Oh, Frank said height certified.
Really?
I'm sure we'll
There's
probably.
some standard language, because there's also,
Yeah, it was.
I forget the name, but there's also a system that you can put around the modular homes that's not concrete, but is also a permanent foundation.
Okay.
But there's some
It's
standard
considered
language.
permanent.
Yeah,
Okay.
by lenders and banks.
It's certified as a permanent.
Okay, but is it still considered that way 15 years from now? That was kind of her deal. See, what happens is you get into this 15 years from now, and then they're not considering it. So whatever she said was, you put it on a concrete foundation, and that's it.
So VA is gonna be the hardest loan you ever get. And to get that, it has to be, it can't be moved, it has to be its original location from factory. And then also hurricane permanent foundation. Those are, and it says permanent, so it doesn't say concrete.
Okay,
Or as long as
okay,
it is a
okay.
permanent foundation and hurricane strap down.
But Kelly will
But you
know.
wanna make sure that everybody has an opportunity to buy that
Yeah.
house, so.
So anyway, I really want the council to move forward with this zoning because there's, as Dennison said, there's some huge problems with ours, and I won't even go into it because I've learned there. Shut my mouth. So, you know, I guess it's up to you guys to, if, I would really like this to change this
We really need to get our
and become
plans.
consistent with everything that we do.
And
I mean, we've kicked this can every which way but the right way.
So what?
well, it's been money, it's been the issue.
Well-
And this year, Christian said we did have a little bit of money in our budget, and maybe we can start to do something. But
What you're talking about wouldn't cost anywhere near the money that I was talking about, a full recodification.
Yeah, yeah,
That would be a lot more expensive than
Uh-huh.
probably what Tammy's talking
Yeah.
about.
yeah.
This would just be a small portion of the
So
ordinance.
what are you, I guess what are you recommending that we start on, what do we do?
Well, we get Dennison to start working with Kelly and putting some ordinances together for the zoning and redo that. You know, we're gonna have to have A, B, C, and clearly defined.
And a map that works.
Well, that's on the agenda.
Redo the map.
And Mayor, as members of the City Council, usually with any zoning, I mean, there's 2 parts to any zoning. There's, you know, the legal structure of what's going to required, and then there's the just kind of the policy decisions that you guys will make. And so the legal side of things, me and Kelly absolutely can get that done, taken care of. And then the policy decisions on where things go, what it should look like, that will be up to you guys to work
Okay.
on. But the legal side of things
Can
can
you
be done
give us a
pretty easy.
guideline on what we gotta do, when we gotta do
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
I had a question. What you were talking about, making it that, what they call real property, that's with the foundation and secured to the ground. These folks here want to put a trailer, commercial one, if they're going to live in that and make it business, does that pertain to their house also?
No, it wouldn't pertain to their house. It would be.
Because it's business?
No, because it hasn't been adhered to in the past.
But what it would do is in the future is it would change stuff.
Anybody,
would-
from the time we get the new material.
The new
Going
ordinances,
forward.
people have to comply.
Yeah, anybody.
And
brings
so
up
it,
guidelines.
then the next person that comes in and says, I want to put a trailer here, we're going to have clear guidelines, and we'll say, sorry, you can put this here, but you can't put that there.
It's not even a variance question then.
It's not even a variance question.
I think that's really the vague part. There's
Yes.
some gray areas that I went through the zoning myself, being a new landowner in Fromberg, just to brief myself with the issues that would maybe confront me with the property or zoning or whatever. And there, it is not that confusing. I read the thing through and through, but you know, there's a different. I'm a home builder by trade, and so you think of a modular home or a mobile home. There's a big difference. Modular home is a home that's made in a factory that
Right.
is transported on a trailer and removed from it and put on a foundation. A mobile home is something that lives on wheels.
Yeah, and we
It's
really...
a steel frame.
And the reason we need to do them up right, guys, is, okay, so we've had 2 mobile home parks in the past in town, and we're gonna have to change some stuff. Nate, that you guys would have to figure out what you wanna do, you know.
It's not gonna be true.
Yeah, okay, but we need to redefine what a trailer park is. And the reason being is most of them now, I think it has to be an acre. Everything has to be 25 feet from each other, you know, and it's like on that acre, you can only have 9 mobile homes. You're not having no more. So we have to clear that up, and what it'll do is when the trailers disintegrate there, that will end that kind of deal.
We'll get rid of that cycle.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then they'll have to adhere to the new rules.
To the new rules.
But I would...
The sooner we can get the new rules.
Well, like I said, I would really like to see Dennis, and we give him the go-ahead to start working on it.
So do we need to make a motion for that, Dennis, then?
No, that's just direction and guidance. The one thing I would, I don't know if it's up to you, but there is, so the legal writing the language is pretty standard. That's easy. There really is just pulling language from a lot of places. There's a lot of language. That's standard. Some of the policy decisions will drive what language goes in there.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, oftentimes, because we only meet once a month, you might want to think about doing a subcommittee of specific people that could then kind of push this forward faster than just once a month.
I would, yeah, and that doesn't bother
A
me.
subcommittee would just be a smaller group, so it wouldn't be the full town council. It couldn't be a majority, it'd have to be a minority of members. I'm doing the math in my head right now, so could it be...
Well, is that something that
maybe 2.
Who would you like to have with you?
That needs to be created by resolution.
That does.
So that
yes.
committee can't even be created until November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't mind, and I don't know.
But that's a way of...
Does it have to be another counselor, or can there be other people from the community that might want to fill in?
That's up to you guys, actually, to make the subcommittee. You can be whoever you want. But it's a way of pushing forward some of these more complicated resolutions and ordinances.
How many people do you think
and zoning
you
is
need?
important.
And I feel it's beneficial to have 3. I just feel it's beneficial to have 3. I think me and Aaron and Elton worked on the ordinance committee one time, and we all didn't agree at times, but we bounced ideas off of each other and stuff, and worked together. And like I said, if anybody wants to sign up and we go for it, like I said, it's beneficial to have 3 at least.
And subcommittees can be prepared, or I guess formed, through a city council, or the mayor also could make one.
Okay.
So it's up to you guys if the mayor wants to choose and select and appoint who he wants, or if the city council wants to make who they want.
It helps
as far
that
as
they...
who's on it is
Who's
what
on
you're
it,
talking
yeah.
about, but it still needs to be created via
Yes,
resolution.
it does.
You're going to have to make a resolution
But,
to create a
but it
committee.
does help...
And that's only if you guys want. That's a suggestion that it would be a quicker way of usually making a zoning ordinance a big one, because that's a big thing for the city.
It does help if they understand our zoning ordinances, and they kind of have a background, you know, or have read through them.
I also think it's helpful when your department heads participate.
Yeah, it is.
Either want to give you another job, but you should be on the committee.
Yeah.
Well, so...
Then put 5 on there, so you have an odd number, so you don't have a even tie.
It's up to you guys. Yep.
So doesn't it have to come once you make a decision? If you're talking about volunteers?
It's just, we put out recommendations, Bob, so it would be like, okay, so like, one of us would probably go to Nate and say, okay, you don't want to do a trailer park. What is your ideas that you want to do down there? And then I think we have to get that district rezoned, don't we, or not?
Which district?
The trailer park.
It was a trailer park at one time, and he
There's
wants
only
to
one
change
spot
it.
that was ever zoned even correctly from the
Yeah.
beginning. It's all still listed as
That's what I was
residential.
thinking, it'd be
Or-
good to go through everything.
And we have to go through everything, right?
But
Or-
when you do your zoning, you can put a change of use process in there, so that you
Yeah,
can then use
yeah,
that change
so
of
we
use
could
to
put a-
rezone.
Yep.
We could put a change of use, and then whatever Nate has
Yeah.
in plans, and then the setbacks and everything can be met on that. But, you know, it's just ideas, like, okay, everybody is going the standard of, you have to fill out a zoning permit for your fence. And your fence can only be so tall, and at the corners, it can only be so tall for visual.
And a zoning, I mean, a zoning can be very short, it can be a 1,000-page document, it can be
Yeah.
anything in between.
Simpler the better.
So that's why it's really, I mean,
Yeah.
just a suggestion, but a working group is a less formal method. Everybody, obviously, everybody still can come, it's still, people can show up and see it happening in the discussions, but it's a way of pushing this
Yeah.
forward.
When we met, people could come in and talk to us.
I think that's a
We
good
had
idea.
random people stopping each time we met.
Yeah, they could
Yeah.
come and talk to us and see what we was doing, and it was, nothing's hidden. I mean, it's all out there for you. I'm trying to think, what was one of the things that, recently that I read, so, and I can't remember the term that they use for it, but they don't allow certain things in people's yards, because, so that would eliminate like somebody even trying to put a propane tank in or whatever. There was some word for it I'd read in a zoning policy, you know. So it just makes us think outside the box.
Probably what we need to do is tomorrow, get a hold of me, we'll come in here and we'll.
I can't tomorrow. I can Wednesday, but I can't tomorrow.
Yeah, 'cause I can't Wednesday.
Okay, well,
The only question I really had was, once you guys decide on whatever, this committee you want to start, does it have to come before the council to approve it?
well, what happens
would
is,
make it legal.
it forms into a policy, and then we've got,
Yeah, okay.
and
Then it
you
gets
can
to-
change it.
And, yeah, and so that's why in any type of subcommittee, that's why a majority of members of the town council cannot be on it. So that's just a recommendation,
Okay.
and then it goes to the town council, which has fresh eyes on it, and they can decide whether to adopt it and make changes to it, or just kick it back.
Okay. Clarify it.
So I can help Michelle do a resolution to create a committee, but how many committee members are you guys thinking? Because I'm sure that'll be in the resolution. I've never done one, but I'm guessing
You're gonna
it's
have
in
to
there.
get volunteers or whatever, whoever wants to be on it.
I think
So
we ought to
maybe
put it in there 3 to
Up
5.
to 5?
3 to 5.
3 to 5?
Up to 5?
3 to 5.
Yeah, 3 to 5. But 3 would be the minimum. You can't really have less than 3, but we could do up to 5. We'll find one.
Okay, get that going.
What's that, next agenda or next meeting?
Yeah, that'll have to be
Yeah.
on the,
Have
Yeah.
the resolution ready for next meeting to create the committee.
yeah.
So, ordinances move slow, Bob, just so you know.
What's that?
Ordinances move slow. So once
yeah.
they get created, it's 30 days and then another 30 days afterwards, so.
And what's the holdup?
I think we,
Can't be us,
Yeah.
trying to get something done.
Okay. Discussion zoning maps.
So Elton brought this up, I don't know how many years ago, good 5 years ago or whatever, that we needed a new zoning map. So that map does not include a number of properties that are now included in town. So,
And the issue she told me at the courthouse on that map is in order to get a proper one, a good one, we have to have it certified, which is very expensive. to get our city limits.
Astronomically. To survey the whole town.
Yeah.
Why would you have to get it surveyed just to update your zoning? You're
Well,
not
wouldn't
updating your
have to
plat,
get,
you're
wouldn't
just
have to get
updating
it
your
surveyed for
zoning.
the zoning, but we would have to get it
There
if
should be
we're,
We could just print our
as
own.
far
Well,
as
or-
That-
where,
yeah, I
where the
mean-
property lines are, or where the town city limits are.
When
That's
it is-
the only thing.
As I was saying, when you annex more of the city, there should be a map.
A record of.
Doesn't Tom
we can work on
Coley
that.
have a
Yeah,
map?
But that's what she told me.
Doesn't
And
Tom Coley?
sometimes you have to research like one property or another to see if they're paying city taxes or county taxes, if it's ambiguous, like was that one pulled in with that, if the notes aren't clear, but there should be records of annexations that tell you exactly where your boundaries are. There should all be filed with the clerk and recorder.
Yeah, and would not, pardon me, Elton, didn't you check with Tom Coley about a map at one time?
No, it was
Okay.
somebody else that did it, and their recommendation was, I think it was basically we could get something really cheap that would still work.
I thought it was like $500 or
It wasn't much at all,
$600
and I
at
can't remember the
most.
details, but there was
For a
an option.
survey?
Not
There
No,
was-
not a survey.
Oh, okay, I was like,
No,
survey.
no.
the
5,000
map,
of
the
them.
map itself.
Yeah, there was a real cheap option, and nobody jumped on it, nobody did anything, and I was very disappointed.
I know, like Tom Coley put together a digital zoning map for me at Preserve.
Yeah, that's
He
what
can,
it-
that's
probably
what
what
he's
it
the
is.
GIS coordinator of the county, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
sure he can put you together, and then he color coordinated mine, and then I didn't like the colors, and he changed the colors for me. Like, it wasn't, I mean, I don't think it's very hard for him to do that, it's just probably a matter of when he would have time, but you definitely
And
reach out
That's
to
what we
him.
need.
He
That's
said
what we
he
need.
would make
'Cause I
one
know
for
he
us, but he
can
hasn't
do
had
it.
the time to do it.
Well, and
I've been trying to get him, but he's currently on fire over in Sheridan.
well, yeah, but
And has been for several months.
I think we wait to color coordinate the map, my recommendation is, until we get all our districts done again.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously
And if we
intertwined.
have to, in the meantime, I do have a plot map at home that is not colored, that you can take and have blown up. But if I don't get mine back, you're in trouble.
Actually, you take it over to the clerk and the recorder over there.
That's
and
what I'm saying, but I won't get there, but
well, if you get there, she will make you a map.
And-
I've got one in here.
the only thing that's distracting is mine says Dudley Edition, Fluid Edition.
And I think that map in there has that.
Okay, but I do have one that isn't color coordinated that we
Yes.
could recolor coordinate until.
And it's as
Yeah.
big
Well,
as
and if
that.
Yeah.
Tom does a digital one, it would be easy to be
Yeah,
changing
yeah.
it digitally and save different versions.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, I
Just
assume,
trying to
I'm
get
not
it
a
all.
GIS
Yeah.
person, but I assume that could be done very easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll tell him it's easy. We'll tell him you said try.
But yeah, I know when I wanted the colors different, he just changed the colors and sent it back to me. Actually, they were just linked, just updated. So,
Okay,
he used two colors that were too close together for me. I
hopefully
made
by
two
November.
colors.
So what are we looking at now for zoning?
A
Are we
zoning map, I
gonna-
think Tom Coley is our best bet, but we're gonna have to wait till after fire season.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna run the fire out of
Yeah, no, it'll be a month or so before he gets,
Yeah.
We're trying to,
He's been trying to get him, because he's,
they had to number all the houses, and they have a number on the house in case of emergency. Deal
You
from
need
the
an address?
county.
For
Huh?
what? You need an address?
Some of these don't have a dress on them, I don't know who they are.
Fire number.
Tom was gonna come down here and
Work with the sheriff's
map
office,
out
is what
everything.
we have, doesn't match the county.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you needed an address. I can
Yeah.
tell
No.
Michelle how to get that for you.
And Tom sets those all up.
So
Mhm.
yeah, we
Yeah.
figure once we get everything.
when he was working with Tom to get that.
Yeah, yeah.
The fire season took over. Okay.
okay?
Discussion regarding volunteer and/or volunteer policy.
Okay, that's me again. So, Kirsten did bring up something very valuable about, and so I'm just considering about us putting a policy in place, especially where we had a negative impact on our students, and I don't want to see that happen again. I would like a form that people filled out when they volunteer, that this is your conduct, and if you're working with children, there's appropriate steps to take place. You know, if they have supervisors, you need to contact the supervisor, not take it under, you're not in charge, you know. And the other thing is and if we had people fill out that, you know, this, we would probably put it on there as well, something about if you have a record of violence or something like that, you can't volunteer with children.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we
Yep,
like
I
fill out
agree.
a map and then we just verify everything.
Yeah,
Check 'em
yeah,
out.
yeah, and then what Kirsten pointed out is MMIA does do an insurance policy for volunteers, and it covers them, so in case, you know, they're in the park and they're raking leaves or whatever and they trip and fall, it's going to cover it.
There's two different kinds. There's like regular volunteers that volunteer regularly, and you just carry them all year round, and then there's project-based volunteers that you have to get pre-approval from MMIA to have that project and cover those volunteers.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're interested in creating a policy for volunteers or something. I don't want to, let me explain it to you this way. I went to the River Project. I was one that reached out to Jennifer and texted her, and now I feel horrible because there was a bad experience there. And when I got there, you know, I know everybody was rushed, but I can look back at the deal and say it wasn't real positive from the get-go. It wasn't lined out well, and I've done some reading, and if your town's dependent on volunteers, you have to create a positive deal for them. And, you know, we missed a golden opportunity.
Yeah.
We had high school kids there. There was never, you water the hole, and here's why you water the hole. You spread the roots out here, and this is how you cover it, and this is how you dig the well around it, and none of that was explained. And you've got these poor high school kids out there, and you've got people telling them to do this and do that. And it should have been a learning experience, and it should have been a positive experience. And I guess when you have somebody coming in and asking volunteers, you should set some parameters that, you know, if you're not going to do this, and come prepared, or call on one of us, you know. Are you going to have cookies there or something? 3 hours out there pounding in the sun and the shoveling, and you don't have a cookie for a kid is not very good positive experience.
So when we get done, I'll have you with me and we'll talk with the attorney.
Okay.
I'll explain it.
March.
Yes.
On the volunteering thing, I was there, and I was really disturbed with how it was not organized from the very start. On that stupid little cabin down at the museum, we spent over 10 days with volunteers preparing, getting ready for our group to come in. When that group come in, they were offered breakfast, they were offered hot rolls, and they were offered lunch. And the thank yous could not have been enough between each volunteer and myself. And I hate to tell you, I'm going to tell you this, you can't kiss a volunteer's ass enough if you want them back. And that's just plain English.
Thank you.
Tammy, and I want to thank you for your card to the school. The rest of my board has not reviewed it yet because we moved our meeting to the 28th this month. So, and we won't review it on Thursday night in our special board meeting because the schoolhouse is sold, so we have to approve that. So. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments on the volunteers?
So you want a policy stuff to start working on a policy?
I think a policy really needs to be in
There
place,
should be
but
a policy somewhere, that we could just adopt.
There's a lot of policies that can just be adopted, right?
okay.
So let's get some samples of that and look. And then we'll bring that up at the next meeting as well. Okay, discussion regarding personnel policy, section 7.725, use of town equipment.
I have had a ton of complaints. We have a dump truck dropping gravel off at people's places. We have skidsters being used. We have
What?
skidsters being used. We have this policy, and it was signed that it wouldn't happen. And we have taxpayers, and it was taxpayers' money that paid for this equipment.
You're looking at,
Says it right there. That highlighted part.
use of town equipment. Because I've always been under the impression that the town could, if somebody wanted to rent a piece of that equipment for $50 an hour, and that's kind of the way it's been.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's what
Call and see what a skidster rents for an hour. It is not now $50 an hour. And I can tell you what MMIA told me.
Well, I guess after the last council meeting, I approached Marcus about the fact that I'd been contacted by several individuals about him using the town equipment for his side business. And he told me that he had permission to use the equipment and that he was paying rental on it. I checked in and there has never been any rental money paid, any at all. And I guess the issue that I have is that he's got 40+ hours in a week, but yet during the week I see and have been told and had pictures sent to me of him doing concrete work. So I guess my question is how is he getting 40 hours a week in plus and still doing concrete business on the side using town equipment, which it clearly states he cannot do. I also had another individual say he stopped by the shop one day and Marcus and I'm assuming it was Matthew were out building in the shop during the day, building something to do with Nate show at the billing show that he was going to for his side business.
Okay.
Here's what Jim Bradley sent out of MMIA. Hold on here, I gotta go back here. There's some bullet points to consider. There's significant liability risk and property damage risk to the town equipment and individuals of property. A, year 2015, 2016, Stillwater County, Montana employees charged and convicted of theft arising out of use of public equipment for personal and private purposes. Essentially, the equipment is paid for by the taxpayers and is understood to be used solely for municipal purposes. B, city lease rent equipment. Best option is to avoid this practice entirely due to uncontrollable risk. Town will need to ensure equipment is properly maintained before and after it is rented. Damaged parts need to be replaced prior to subsequent renting in order to prevent injury to the next customer and/or employee. The town will need to ensure the user is properly trained, qualified to operate machinery, is CDL or special operator's license or certification required, Contract agreement will need to include hold harmless indemnification language for all claims arising out of public-owned equipment. Contract should require the leaser or renter to carry liability coverage protecting the interest of the town for all claims arising out of public-owned equipment. The town should consider whether repair or replacement cost to the taxpayers would be expedited due to additional wear and tear of the city and town-owned, leased, rented equipment. Contract should be in place to transfer all liability and use of machinery to the renter. Contract should include wording and statements to the renter. Goes on down with that. Will taxpayers have a vote on allowing this practice? Do they know it occurs? The equipment is owned by the municipality and the taxpayers. Will equipment's lifespan be compromised if used for non-municipal operations? How will the town verify rented equipment is appropriate for the work and the renter is using it for? Allowing municipal employees, elected officials to use municipal equipment in personal or business operations can bring the town into a situation that can significantly legal consequences. Are taxpayers on board with this exposure? Are they willing to pay higher cost averages resulting from liability claims and lawsuit operations that have nothing to do with the town? The following excerpt, memorandum and coverage is a liability program, defines coverage of the party, and it goes on down. Here's the other deal with this whole deal. We discussed this when it came up about the cop car, and the cop car is wrecked. And it was, well, it just quit steering. Well, it doesn't just quit steering. That's a maintenance issue. And we are paying for this, and there is a clause in there. And he signed it. And I don't blame any, and I ask for records on gravel. No gravel has been paid for. And you look down there on Blewett, they suffered that flood, and that street has not been gravelled once. But we've got gravel in people's driveways.
I got a little bit here.
Yes, Joe.
Well, I witnessed on the 19th of September when a dump truck came through the alley, dumped some red gravel, which I'm sure is city gravel that we paid for. Again on the 23rd, they come back and dumped a little bit more gravel, where our gravel cities for the cement project. On October 7th, they came through the alley again to the dump truck and dumped some fill dirt to put along their cement with the city truck. Now, that's our gravel we paid for. Did he pay for that gravel?
There's
I
no
don't know.
record of it.
There's no record of it.
And they're during work hours.
I'll talk to him since he's not here tonight to defend himself.
There's no defendant. I watched it.
Yeah.
Well, here's
And I
the
did
other
too.
deal. She watched, and I drove around the block, and he's got the city truck parked there, and he's in the back doing cement.
Yes.
Technically, I mean, my honest opinion, it states it right on the end of the thing, termination.
Yeah.
I mean, this is called theft of services.
Yeah.
He worked for the town, and he basically, it's called double dipping. He's getting paid by the town. He's also doing his side business on the town's dollar. He's using town equipment, and he was very important a couple of meetings ago to point out that rule policy. Boy, it's in that, following that rule, in our handbook policy. He was very apt to point that out. Well, here it is, in the handbook policy. It's right there, black and white. And
Well, we'll talk to him about it.
And there is no rental agreement in the office.
I don't feel that there's a talking should be done. I feel that he should be terminated,
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
in my honest opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, he's theft of services. He's basically stealing from all this, not to